Hello crafty friends, I'm Lean from Studio Kato and I'm so glad you're joining me again today. Today is another casual Friday on my channel, so I'll be making a clean and simple card. I'm trying something different with the editing. I sped it up a lot less, so it'll be smoother to watch, but I did cut out some in-between pieces. So let me know if you like this better than what I usually do. So I'm working on a piece of Clairefontaine DCP 250 GSM cardstock, and I measured out 3 spaces. These spaces are 1.5 inch by 2 3/4 of an inch, and the panel is 5.5 by 3 1/4 inch. And I'm stamping 3 of the Sweet Friend flowers on there from Pinkfresh Studio, and I'm using Versafine Onyx black ink to do that. This is a nice crisp black, and I will also clear emboss this with Wow Clear Gloss Superfine embossing powder. That will give it a nice shine and will deepen up that black even more. And I'm doing the same for the Sweet Friend stamp. Just sprinkling on that embossing powder. You can still see the pencil lines, but we'll fix that at the end. Now I'm putting some washi tape. This happens to be just 1/4 of an inch, which is exactly what I need to fit in between my 3 areas there. And then some larger washi tape, some wider washi tape to mask off the edges and tape it down to my work surface, which will make it a lot easier for me later on. I also stamped these flowers onto full stick post-it notes, and then I cut each of these tiny little leaves and tiny little flowers out with my scissors and a lot of patience, and then I can use those as a mask. These will keep the flowers and all the leaves and images nice and crisp and white while I add some color to the background. I really like that look, but I usually do it with larger images that are slightly less fussy to cut out. Now with all the masks in place, I can go over to my ink blending. This is still sped up a little bit. I think I sped it up 1.5 times, so it's not a lot, but this is still not how I usually ink blend in real life. And for the colors, I used the colors that were suggested for the Pinkfresh Studio monthly challenge. I really like this color palette. I've used it before, I think last week on a no-line coloring card, but I really wanted to do this card as well with these colors. To get a nice smooth blend, I am taking my time building up the color and not going in with a heavy hand right away, because that often causes streaks and splotches, and we don't want that. This pink is the Coral Reef ink. All the ink colors I used will be listed in the description below if you're curious. But this is the Coral Reef ink, and it's gorgeous, but it takes a lot of time to build up that color and get a nice pink. I also switch between my colors a lot. When I blended out the pink, I went to the yellow, and then I went back to the pink to smooth out that blend in between those colors. And I did that pretty much for every color. That's the biggest tip I can give you. Switch between your colors, go back and forth, use blending brushes instead of blending foams, and get some nice smooth paper that takes the ink well. And then you shouldn't have any more issues with your ink blending. Okay, so that panel is done, and I cut 4 more layers of thick white cardstock, slightly smaller than my panel, and I'm gluing all of those together and then gluing that behind my panel to prop it up and add some nice sturdy dimension to it. And I'm using the Barely Art Precision Craft glue for that. I can then glue it on my card, nicely centered, and we'll have a nice margin at the top and the bottom of the panel. I also fussy cut out the sentiment. I've never done this before, but I was surprised how easy it was to cut out. And I am propping that up on some foam squares. If there was a die for this, I would have die cut it a couple of times and glued those dies together, and that would have given me some nice dimension as well. For the embellishments, I am using the gold metallic pearls, also by Pinkfresh Studio, and I'm fussing around with the placement for a little bit. I even put some in the middle of the card, in the middle panel there with the flower as well, but I decided against that, and I'm just gluing these on instead. I'm only using a couple of embellishments, but it adds a nice touch to it anyway. I really like this for a cast card. There's not too much going on and still enough to be interesting. Now for the matching envelope, I'm also keeping things very simple. I used this gorgeous pink magenta cardstock. It's slightly textured, and I am using my We Are Memory Keepers 123 punch board to fold an envelope out of that. And then I can stamp one of the same flowers I used on my card on there, and I'm going for a tone-on-tone look. You can use a colored ink for this if you have a color that matches, but I prefer to just use Versamark ink, and if I'm feeling extra, I will also clear emboss this, but I didn't do that this time. And that's the card and envelope all done. This was a shorter video, but I think it was more enjoyable to watch. Let me know what you thought about the editing in the comments below. I'm still figuring out this whole YouTube stuff. But if you liked the video, please leave a like and leave your thoughts in the comments below. You can also subscribe to my channel if you want to see more of my videos. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate you visiting my channel, and I hope I will see you next time.